This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, if you're just joining us, the television audience, welcome in all over the world at circlecountry.com and all over the world at WSMradio.com is where you'll find us. I'm Bill Cody. That's Kelly Sutton, a sleep-deprived Kelly Sutton. We'll explain for the TV audience here in just a second. Charlie Matos, Annie Nye, our studio director, Jeff Roberts upstairs in master control. He is like the overseer of it all, his perch.
He's the wizard.
Yeah, that's what he is. That's a good word for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Kelly Sutton, don't look too closely this morning, okay? Because the woman is weary. Sometimes a woman does get weary. Wilson Pickett, I think, said that. Because thunderstorms, tornado watches, and warnings.
That's Otis. That's Otis Redding.
Is Otis? Yes,
Yes.
Otis. Yes, thank you. Otis.
Come on.
Sometimes the girl
There you
does
go.
get weary.
I love that. Otis is one of my favorites. That's the only reason I would think that.
It's funny thing about Otis. Apparently, he was quite an intimidating figure. And J.B. Pennington of Exile said one time about his name came up in conversation. He said, Otis would scare you into liking him.
Oh, well, that's one way of doing it.
Wow. Okay.
I think he created quite a presence when he walked in the room. Yeah.
That's what I do. Just make
especially on,
scared.
3 hours sleep?
Yeah. It was a rough night. We had some really bad storms that came through, and they were alive from, I don't know what time they went on the air, but all of my friends who are meteorologists were saying names of streets that were very close to where I live. In fact, I was getting text messages. One of my friends, Darren Otto, I haven't talked to Darren in a while, texted me and said, "Are you okay?" So that should tell you how close everything was to us.
Well, somebody called you, did they, or texted and said, go to your basement immediately, because they knew where you lived.
One of our friends, Brian Pettis, we were actually in bed. It was like 10:30, and he said, "Are you in the basement?" And my husband said, "No." And he said, "You need to go to your basement." So it was pretty serious. They had 2 different rotations that were going, and they were kind of coming together very close to where we are.
So did you lose power?
No, we were good.
Storm
Everything
damage?
was okay. Not that I could see, but I leave in the dark, so I don't know if we had trees down.
Paul, check the roof.
He'll
Make sure we still have one.
Make sure we still have one. So it was a rough night in Middle Tennessee, which brings up a very interesting topic. What do you grab in a storm? If you know you have 5 minutes or less, what are you grabbing? Because my husband and I, totally different at that time. And I thought about it at the moment. I was like, this is very interesting.
Yeah, but you decided to be camera ready. Paul didn't see that as a necessity.
No, that wasn't it at all. So just think about that. If you have like 5 minutes, what are the essentials that you're grabbing to take with you to your safe place in a storm? Okay, all of that. Plus, DQ is rolling out their new summer menu, and I'm very excited about that. So don't worry about the summer body. We're just going to tell you what blizzards you should eat. Jordan Davis has a new number 1. Eric Church is going to be playing here in Nashville 2 nights, all new music. How you can get your hands on tickets coming up.
My guess is you better grab some shoes. You better have some footwear for the occasion.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the rest of it. Just make sure you got some slides.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
Is it life imitating art? You hear that quote from time to time. In the case of Bradley Gaskin, it really is. The name of his album is called Unfinished Business.
I like it.
And if there's anybody to whom that applied, and our shared story of unfinished business,
that's
right. It would be you sitting here in Mr. Acuff's living room at the historic studios of WSM on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza in our 100th year.
Wow. It don't get no better than that, I'm telling you. I promise you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here and see Charlie and you, and it's amazing morning for me, man.
So take me back. You and I first met at the Ryman Auditorium.
We did.
And was it an Opry Country Classic
It was. It was October the 7th, 2010. I remember the first,
15 years?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That was my first Opry debut. And I hadn't even signed my record deal. When I got that date to perform there, I hadn't even signed my deal prior to that.
I hosted that night, and what I remember is you got a standing ovation. Do you remember that?
I do.
I'm sure you would never forget a moment like that.
I do. I run that through my head all the time of just I remember my granddad. I remember everybody saying, boy, if you ever get to the Opry, if you get there one time, you got it made. And because everybody everybody hasn't been able to perform there. Mm-hmm. And
so that was the measure of success.
Man, I was so nervous.
So
I was so scared to death. Like, I don't remember. I think I floated out to the microphone. I don't remember. Everybody's like, "What is it like to walk from behind the curtain backstage to the microphone?" I don't know. I literally floated to that moment. So
what was your history with John Rich, who was responsible
more
or less for making that happen?
Back when MySpace was huge, like everything else is now, she made me a profile and put my original song, Mr. Bartender, that I recorded in an old basement not far from where I live back home in Alabama. And she put that song up, and 2 weeks later, I got this message from John Rich.
So you were like
MySpace.
a TikTok star, but MySpace.
I guess so. I didn't know what it was. Look, I was 28 years old and never sent an email. I didn't own a computer. She had one from college, so she uploaded it. And 2 weeks later, she had taught me how to check messages and do all this stuff. And I was doing it, and there was a message from John Rich. And I called her in there. I'll remember the day. It was April the 14th. I'll never forget it. I went in there and I said, Kate, hey, I said, Adrian, can you come here and read this? I said, you tell me that internet is helpful and all this kind of stuff. I said, somebody's lying.
Yeah.
There is no way that this dude from Big and Rich is sending me a message. There's no way.
Right.
I said, this is false. And I believe I even said, this is a fake profile. The early years of that. And she said, well, maybe you should respond. So I did. And I said, hey, if this is the real John Rich, this is my cell number. Give me a call. And he asked me, did I play in Nashville? He asked me if my song was an original or a cover. He said he thought it sounded familiar, but he wasn't sure. And John Rich is a walking jukebox.
Yeah.
And when he said it sounded like a cover, I thought, hey, what a compliment, because I remember writing that covered in sheetrock, mud, and dust one afternoon. So I told John, I said, if this is the real John Rich, you can call my cell. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was John Rich. And that moment, that first phone call changed my whole life with one song and a call.
That's incredible. What did you ask him? I mean, first of all, you had to confirm it was him.
Yeah.
But he has an unmistakable voice.
He did. And I knew that when he was talking, and he has an iconic little laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got that thing. And I knew it was him. And so he invited me to Nashville. He was doing a talent search at 12th and Porter. Him and Kenny was doing some separate things and in the music, business of what they were doing, separate. And that's what he started. He started doing a little talent search thing. He called it the Get Rich Talent Search. And he asked me, he said, hey, man, do you play in Nashville? What do you do? And I said, man, I hang drywall. I play at a little Mexican restaurant on Thursday nights for about 3.5 hours. And I said, I don't have any place to play. Where I got my exposure was singing at church on Sunday mornings. And he said, I want to invite you to the show. Do you have a band? And I said, no, I don't. And so I threw some people together that I knew, came up and played the show. And I won that show the first night I performed. And then he asked me to come back later on, a month later. And after that show, I drove home. And 3 days later, he called and offered me a publishing deal. And I didn't know what that meant.
People hear that a lot, I think, but don't really know what it is.
Explain
what a publishing deal is.
I had no idea what it was.
Because there's some upstart writer out there right now going,
there is.
I don't even know what that is, but I need one, they tell me.
And I told John, I said, man, I know I'm going to sound stupid. And I said, but I don't know what a publishing deal is. And he said, well, it allows you to put that drywall hammer down. And I thought, say no more. Tell me where to sign. I think my daddy was like, well, maybe I can write too. But I was able to put my drywall hammer down and focus on writing songs. And it changed my whole life because I was already writing songs, but it also gave me a little bit more burn to my fire. To just grind and write the best thing and just basically focus on on that and not focus on everything else.
They probably put you in rooms
Because
with
I
other
was thinking, well,
writers,
if I'd written some pretty cool songs prior to this, what could I do if I devoted 100% of my time to writing? And we wound up writing a lot of things, and John and I recorded a lot of songs that I have, and I'm still recording those songs that I wrote, when I was writing for him.
The Bradley Gaskin story. If you just joined us, the pride of Duck Springs, Alabama. That is metropolitan Gadsden for those of you trying to find it.
That's right.
190 miles from there to Nashville, and
I'm
that's not
telling
far. But man, sometimes it seems a long way, right?
Oh yeah, it's bittersweet. It has been in my lifetime.
Are we Roll Tide or War Eagle?
Well, that's a
Whoa.
touchy subject in my
Okay.
home.
All right.
I'm a diehard Auburn fan.
Then you're the happier one with the Final Four.
My wife is an Auburn fan. We raised our little girl to be an Auburn fan, but last year, at the end of her freshman year in high school, she got early enrollment at the University of Alabama.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's called a house divided in the state of Alabama.
Yes, and I can't fix it, Bill.
Yeah.
I can't fix it.
There's not enough sheetrock and drywall to fix that.
But I will tell you this:
there ain't.
if they give a scholarship, all of a sudden Roll Tide sounds pretty good.
I can get the roll down pretty good. I can say roll really good.
Right.
It's that back half that I'm having trouble doing.
Just do like the TV commercial. High tide. High tide, guys.
High tide.
So it's been a little different in our home,
Bradley with a new album, Unfinished Business. He's playing AJ's Good Time Bar. That's Alan Jackson's place downtown Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And first thing we're going to feature is a new single off the album. Thing called Accidentally Drunk.
Accidentally Drunk.
And obviously an original song.
Well, it's crazy. I'm working with music producer Keith Stegall.
Yeah.
And
that's a good one.
Man, I hated to take him songs. It's like he's a song master. So I told him, I said, look, when you're looking for songs, leave Bradley out of the equation. I love writing songs, but I know when I've been outwritten. And I said, so pick my songs last if you have to. And so he sent me a couple of things, and Accidentally Drunk was one of them. And I didn't write it, but Ashley McBride is the co-writer to it.
Nice.
Oh, no kidding.
And when I heard the song, I fell in love with it instantly and knew that I'd have to record it. And Keith said, man, I feel like this fits your vocals, this fits a story, and I think everybody has been there at some point in their lifetime. And so it was a no-brainer for me to walk in and just put my spin on it, And
we're going to play it for people all over the world who are watching on Circle Country Television and listening worldwide on WSM Radio. This is Bradley Gaskin.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Brand new music. Our special guest is a longtime friend, Bradley Gaskin, but it's been way too long since we've seen each other, and a new album will do that sort of thing. You're out on your media run.
I have been,
and Unfinished Business is the name of the album. Wherever you get your music, it'll be there. Accidentally Drunk, we heard. You told a great story as it was playing about your daughter. You guys were somewhere and you played that for her before you ever cut it?
We were in Sevierville, Tennessee, and she was riding this thing, the Alpine Coaster. And I waited for her to get back in the car because I value her opinion. She sings better than I do, and she loves music, and I have raised her. She's a walking jukebox as well. So
how old is she?
She's 16.
16, okay.
And I said, Maddie, I need you to hear this song that Keith just sent me while you were, on that Alpine thing. And before it got to the chorus, she said, Dad, I hope you're going to record this because this sounds like a story you can tell. It sounds like something. And in the younger generation, she said my age and in their 20s going into 30s, everybody could relate to you singing this song. And I was just like, okay. And it was a no-brainer for me to go in and do. And I love writing songs, but I know when to get Bradley out of the way, and that was the song to do.
Boy, a lot of songwriters don't know that, though, do they? That's one of the mistakes they make.
Yeah, because we all want to record our stuff. Because when nobody's around and you're writing, everything's good. And so when you're playing for your family and your friends and all your buddies, they're not going to tell you your songs stink. I wanted to, get to Nashville or play for people that would say, hey, that's not right. It would cause me to want to write better.
Well, our friend, songwriter, Hall of Famer, country music Hall of Famer, and opera star Don Schlitz says, as a writer, The great phrase that keeps getting repeated throughout your career. What else you got?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's it.
And I know now, it's like if I play something and I get, then I go, oh, that's terrible. I'll never play that again. Yeah, I know how it goes. Yeah. But no, that was a way to get Bradley out of the way. And it didn't take me just a second to know that was a great song. And I didn't want to pass it up, because you pass up a great song in this town, somebody else will get it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting guitar you have.
It is. I try not
you-
to play it out in the wintertime deer hunting. If I sit it down, it's hard to find out in the leaves.
For everyone listening on the radio, it is camo.
100%.
And
full blown.
did you do this, or did it come this way?
We had this custom made.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Did you do it specifically so you could take it with you when you were in the deer stand?
Yes, at some point, yes. It was my idea. My record company president, Jack Cole, he and I have been talking about this forever. So he surprised me with this when I was playing a show one night up here. And he said, hey, man, here's our vision. And he presented me this guitar, and I'm tickled to death to have it.
You have to tell the story of how you and your record label had first met, because
So
it was
back
at
years
a very
ago,
famous rib restaurant in Memphis.
So if some of you country music fans remember, I had a single called Mr. Bartender. It was my first introduction top 40 as a writer and an artist. That one song changed my whole life. I was in Memphis playing a show for St. Jude for the radio station there, and I went over to one of my favorite places in Memphis, which is Rendezvous. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's an amazing place. Well, I was sitting there, and they had us all by ourselves, and there were so many people there, they were bringing people from upstairs down to this lower area where I was sitting. And this gentleman, his wife, and 2 children were sit right beside us. And during my conversation with the radio program director, my wife got my attention and said, hey, this guy beside us has got a picture of you on his phone. And I was like, that's weird. And so I stood up, and he stood up, and he was like, hey, man, you're one of my favorite singers. And I think I said, why, or something to him. And he said, Mr. Bartender's my favorite song. He said, man, I literally love that so much. I can't believe that you're right here. And so we met briefly and got a picture and talked. And he said, hey, man, can I hit you up on social media? Twitter was a big thing then. And I said, sure. So we started talking through social media. And he said, hey, man, if you ever get time, I run a deep sea fishing boat. I've got a TV show. He said, I'd love to take you out and fish or deer hunt. So we just built a friendship over social media. And then when we went and met for the first day to deep sea fish, he just felt like a person that I grew up with. And then he became like a family member to me. And
so before you get to that, you have to share the journey for so many singer-songwriters who are out there struggling this morning. You were here, made that introduction to John Rich.
Yes.
You were in town for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Everything took off really quick. But as quick as it took off, it crashed. I mean, it just as soon as, the first single come out, I was out on the road doing my thing, had a full-blown record ready to go. And just like I got the call or the message I told you about from John Rich on MySpace inviting me to Nashville, I got the exit that said goodbye. So it just changed. And I went back to Alabama doing what I always knew to do.
Well, tell them what you were doing.
So I was hanging drywall when I first came to Nashville. My first single. I remember the week you introduced me at the Opry at the Ryman. I remember I hung drywall on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I played the Ryman on Thursday night. And I left that night and got on the tour bus with John Rich, and we went out and played 2 shows over the weekend. And I came back to Nashville late Sunday night and drove back home and worked with my daddy on Monday morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And but it's been a whirlwind.
But you took a job at your
did.
daughter's elementary school.
I did. I worked with my dad for a little while. When I went back after the song was over, I just got to a point where I kept hearing no. And I thought, well, maybe they're right. Maybe this drive, maybe it's something I want and it ain't what I'm supposed to do. Maybe God's got a different plan for me. And so I just basically quit doing it and went back to hanging drywall. And then I worked at a sawmill. And then I took a job at Duck Springs Elementary School where my little girl was in school, and I was the janitor there for 5 years. And for 5 years, my buddy, my best friend, Jack Cole, who's now the president of my record label, 30A Life Records, he told me for 5 years, hey, man, let's start a label. Let's just start a label. Let's come back to do music. And I told him no. And I remember I was in my janitor's closet making coffee one morning, and he called me and he said, hey, are you busy? And I said, not yet. I said, I'm fixing to sweep the front hall. And I said, I got about 5 minutes. And he said, what about if we start a label? And I said, man, I'm hanging up. And he said, no, hear me out. He said, I got a plan. He said, what about if let's start this label and you sing what you want, write what you want, just go back to do music. He said, I've bought some land with some investor friends of mine. We're going to build a venue in 30A, and it's going to be a country music thing from March to September every year when it's done. We just want you to be the opening act to everybody that we book. That's all. That's the whole plan. Me sitting here today was not the plan. It was just for Bradley to go back and do music, and that guy loved me so much that he said, I want you to be the opening act at our venue. And you fast forward that, and I start working with Keith Stegall. And now we got a record, and I'm here with Bill Cody today.
New album, Unfinished Business. This is Bradley Gaskin. And again, AJ's Good Time Bar, Kelly, on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And I think, aren't you going to play Without Her?
I am.
In this segment?
And this is an original song. I wrote this back in 2013 with one of my best friends in the world who now lives 300 foot from my back door. We're distantly related, but we became instant best friends in the first grade. And we always swore that we were going to live near each other. So we own a little place down in Duck Springs, and our properties join each other. And I can go out my back door and holler at him, and he can holler right back at me. And he loves country music just like I did. He told me not long ago, he said, I used to think it was so crazy. Every time we'd go out on Friday, Saturday night, you'd take a notebook with you. And he said, I guess you knew what you were doing. And he said, what's the process of that? He said, I'm just kind of intrigued by it because I love music. And I told him, I said, man, it's a feeling, it's a thought, it's a memory. Sometimes it's a perfume smell of a girl you can't get over. I said, if you've ever had those moments, you can write a song. So I was at my house one night in Duck Springs, and Maddie, my little girl, was playing with toys, and I strummed on the guitar, and he said, hey, man, what's that? And I said, I don't know. And I started throwing some lyrics, and he started matching me. And in no time, we wrote this song. And he and I both thought it was something, but I didn't have a record deal, so nobody was going to hear it. I said, we'll just play it for ourselves and enjoy the song. And so when Jack Cole, the president of the label, heard the song, he said, tell me about this song, man. And I said, well, it's something I wrote after I lost my record deal. And he said, I think Keith Stegall should hear it. So when Keith heard it, he fell in love with it, and we tracked it, and it's coming out this next week.
And you heard it here with Bradley Gaskin. How memorable this sit-down was, man. Thank you for getting up early and coming in and sharing the new album, some cuts from that, Unfinished Business.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's been too long. Yeah, as Charlie said, it's been too long.
So I'm 15 years older than I was when we first met? Is that the idea?
To blow your mind. I'm going to show you some stuff.
Okay. Got pictures to prove it. Yeah. On Coffee, Country, and Cody. Remember that name, Bradley Gaskin. I look at it like, there was Mr. Acuff as the ambassador, and then Porter followed him, and though not in name necessarily, but then Vince Gill is our ambassador for the Grand Ole.
I like that.
You like that idea?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'd probably like that, don't you think?
And you had him crying in your arms there on the red carpet at the 100th Grand Ole Opry celebration.
Yeah, but let's be real. It's not hard to make Vince cry. When you're talking about the Opry, it's pretty easy.
He does get emotional.
The best part was Vince is crying, and I'm talking to him, and Amy's just standing there.
Yeah, she's like, I see this all the time.
Yeah, so she was unfazed, absolutely unfazed. Okay, so the big thing that everyone's talking about this morning, Morgan Wallen walking off the set of SNL. Plays the songs. Everything's cool. Very end credits. The host says thank you, and we're showing you the video right now. He hugs the host, and then walks off toward the camera. And I think everyone was like, where's he going? So there have been a lot of people speculating. One person in particular is like, he was done and wanted to get out of there and get home. Other people said, no, that was the blocking when he was rehearsing. That's how they told him to exit the stage. The weird thing is, I mean, he's played SNL before, so he knows what you're supposed to do. Don't know. I do find it interesting. Everyone's talking about him. He is everywhere. And he has an album coming out. Take that as you will. I don't know. He also posted a picture immediately following of his plane that just said, take me to God's country, or get me back to God's country. So I think he was ready to leave New York.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for that, everything else I would buy.
Yeah, yeah.
But that just makes it seem, well, we're just going to do this.
What's the single?
I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
That's the name of the tour.
The name of the album, for sure.
The album,
right? Yeah.
and possibly a lot more than what we bargained for. Just putting it out there. Okay, very excited. DQ announced its new summer menu. Get ready, people. If you like a blizzard, you're going to love what's coming your way. The annual summer blizzard treat menu is available starting today. So you can go get some of these flavors. First up, mixing bowl mashup. It's brownie batter and chocolate chip cookie dough swirled into that DQ soft serve. You get the dipped strawberry cheesecake blizzard treat, which is cheesecake pieces, chocolate chunks, strawberry topping, and more. Cotton candy blizzard. How do we feel about the cotton candy blizzard?
I love cotton candy.
Really?
I'm not so sure about the blizzard version.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I think the strawberry and the chocolate, I'm definitely on board for. The others, maybe not so much. So just keep that in mind if you are going to Dairy Queen today. This is the new menu. It has been rolled out. It will not help you get your summer body, but it will make you very happy. Okay, question for everybody around the room. Storms. We had big ones that rolled through Nashville last night. Mm-hmm. We got a phone call. You need to go to your basement. I immediately start to get fully dressed. Sweatpants, t-shirt, like a pullover, sweater, socks, shoes. My husband is looking at me like I'm insane.
So you're camera ready.
No, I was prepared. Like, if this is the last outfit that I'm going to have for a while, how can I make it last? And if it's going to keep me warm, because, you know, usually after a storm, you get a cold front. Uh-huh. So that's what I had on. Paul's looking at me like, what are you doing? He's grabbing flashlight and his phone and the dog.
So he's doing the practical thing.
I grabbed my jewelry, my necklaces that I like, my laptop, and my phone to go downstairs, because I was like, these are the things I think I might need.
Well, you don't get to turn it into your insurance company if you take all that stuff with you.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about it. What are you grabbing in an emergency other than wife and kid?
Yeah, a dog. Yeah, the dog will come with me.
Wife, kid, and dog.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking iPhone, because if I have my iPhone, I have everything. I can buy anything, book anything, because it's got, you know, with the Apple Wallet, that's one-stop shopping. So
yes.
I'll take that, portable charger, iPad. I always wear my wedding ring, so I don't have to worry about that. And yeah, just sneakers.
Yeah,
I guess.
I had on all of my jewelry last night.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Paul was like, what are you doing? And I said, if something happens, I'm taking my diamonds with me.
I don't know a lot, but I think between the two of you, by the time you get all your stuff together, the tornado will have
Storm's
moved
over. It's already passed.
your home.
It's too bad. Too late. What about you? Is there something that you would...
Shoes, for sure. I wouldn't care if I was standing there in my underwear, as long as I had my shoes and could get around till we could figure out what was going on.
Debris, broken glass.
Oh,
if you've ever been in that. I still remember being a little kid and being woken up, taken to the storm cellar, having on like my Wonder Woman nightgown with tennis shoes, because you always had to have tennis shoes on. So those are the prepared things you need.
Assignment for today, real quick. Look for a classic clip from All in the Family where Archie and Mike are debating, do you put on a sock and a sock and a shoe and a shoe, or a sock and a shoe and a sock and a shoe?
Oh, sock, sock, shoe, shoe, of course.
You're on Coffee Country and Cody. Good morning.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee Country and Cody.
You know, but I think about it, there's nobody more familiar with the space in which we sit this morning, the Acuff House studio on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza, than Opryland train engineer Bobby Bear Jr., who was sitting here reminiscing about your years. And I remember in the Park studio, we were talking about how you'd go over the trestle at Doo-Wah-Diddy City, which was right across from the WSM studio back in the day.
We are now passing through because you'd sit on the back and you'd have to talk as you went through the park.
You would narrate.
We are now passing through Doo-Wah-Diddy City, where you can ride the rock and roller coaster.
Nice.
Yeah. We had a whole sheet of stuff we would read as we passed through the park.
Did you make stuff up?
We would enhance. We would do funny stuff.
Yeah.
And make stuff up. Just to see if anybody's listening.
Sure.
What time period is this? Because you said you were a
This is
freshman at Belmont.
Summer of 85 and summer of 86.
Okay.
I started on the Sky Ride, and the train was the only ride you could ride all day and be working. So that was great.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Yeah.
And all the pretty people that worked in the park and at the crossing gates and all that, they had to wave at us. Their job was, to say hello. So we got to, it felt like people were happy to see us as we went through the park.
And what do you remember about Mr. Acuff now that you're sitting here in the
Well,
living
because
room?
the train would break down, is what we're looking at out here. I had places around the Opry where we would have to come over here and sweep, and I had places where I could hide and take a nap while nobody was watching. But it was really, Roy would be walking around just talking to anybody like he owned the place, which he kind of did. He walked around like, welcome to my Opry, welcome to my park, and he kind of did.
That's amazing. What was your favorite ride? Like on days off when you just come to the park?
Wabash, Cannonball.
Yeah.
Big time. The Grizzly River Rampage, which there's still part of it.
Yep.
Over
in the
here.
parking lot, if you
that
come
was
to
pretty
the mall
amazing.
and you know where it was, you can pick it out.
Totally. But I can't believe how small the park was. The parking lot's 4 or 5 times bigger than the park.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you look at, it's just the corner past the movie theaters. It was just in this corner. Like everything out towards the river from here, that was the whole park. It was, and the parking lot was at least 4 times bigger than the park. Yeah, it always blows my mind that when I'm driving in towards the movie theaters, like this was the whole park.
Yeah, but it seems like it was massive.
Oh yeah,
when you
it
were
was
in it,
huge.
walking around the way they had it designed.
Yeah.
Well, Bear Jr. is here this morning. An Americana salute to Bobby Bear, a birthday celebration. Your daddy, you said, is 90 years old.
He's about to turn 90.
Your parents have been together 60 years as
Yeah,
husband and
they
wife?
celebrated their 60th last year.
How did they meet? What's their love story?
Well, my mom got a gig singing background vocals for him, and she fell in love with the boss. Her boss happened to be really cute, and they started dating, and he was living in LA at the time, but he wanted to move to Nashville and have a family, and she was okay with that. So they moved out here in '64, and I arrived in '66.
So Capitol was his first record deal, but it was really Chet at RCA that
Yes.
changed everything once he got to Nashville,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Chet changed a lot of people's lives.
Boy, isn't that true?
Yeah, big time. But Shame on Me was the first. The first hit was All American Boy, but his name wasn't even on that
Yeah, for people who don't know, give the backstory.
record. He made a demo. He did a demo with a buddy, and they had some time left over, so he did this song, All American Boy, that he wrote and sang. He goes into the Army, and it was about Elvis going to the Army kind of, but it was Dad. And he's in the Army, and he hears it on the radio from WLAC, and he's like, "This is me. This is me singing." And everybody in the barracks, the song ends. They go, "That was Bill Parsons singing All American Boy. And they're like, shut up, Bear, go back to sleep. But Bill Parsons they made a mistake and put Bill Parsons calls Dad in the Army and says, man, they want me to go on American Bandstand. They want me to go on tour with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens. And Bill Parsons was on that tour with Waylon and Buddy Holly when he wasn't in the airplane crash, but he was part of that tour. And Dad got out of the Army, and Chet knew who Dad was, because he had that song, and they started making hits.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, there are multiple events to celebrate this 90th birth anniversary. Monday the 7th at Basement East, which you are hosting.
Yeah.
We'll run that line up here in a second. Then there's For the Love of the Songwriter on Wednesday the 9th. That's at the Bluebird. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday, the songs of Bobby Bear featuring Buddy Cannon, Todd Snyder, and you. And that's Saturday, April 12th. That'll be at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So let's start with the one that you're hosting that has this lineup that's just incredible.
Me and my buddy Grimy and Dad's manager Zach are all kind of, we realized, hey, we should do a show. And this was only like 3 weeks ago. And Grimy owns the Basement East, and one of the owners of the Basement East. And he had that date open, the actual birthday. So I start contacting friends and family, and and pretty much everybody that's doing the show is a friend of Dad's and loves Dad and has been collaborated with Dad. Or basically I get to wake up every day and create a hug. If we are creating a musical hug, if anybody's motive is anything other than that, it stands out like a sore thumb. But we're just finding people, and it's amazing the love people want to give Dad and Mom, through doing their songs. They won't be at the show. They're going to be watching a Zoom broadcast just for them. They're the only ones on the Zoom broadcast of the show. They won't be at the show, but they're gonna get to experience it through a Zoom call on their TV in Hendersonville.
Well, Emmylou Harris, Jamie Johnson, Steve Earle, Sean Camp, Elizabeth Cook, Buddy Miller, Kendall Marvel, Chuck Mead, Lucinda Williams. You said you've added Jim Lauderdale. Anybody else?
Aaron Lee Tashian.
Okay.
And Jim Lauderdale.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the Love of the Songwriter on Wednesday the 9th at the Bluebird. Are you involved in that as well? So
yeah,
you'll
me, Mary Gachet, and Max Barnes.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to do some Bobby Bear songs.
And then, of course, Buddy Cannon, along with Todd Snyder, and you.
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday at the Country Music Hall of Fame.
You got a busy week.
Yeah, but all I got to do is sing some Bobby Bear songs. It's easy. I didn't do any of my dad's songs for 25 years, and at some point he goes, "Why don't you do any of my songs?" Like, well, he does them better than me. He's out there doing it, and I knew how big of a turnoff it was when he saw other kids kind of making a career out of being somebody's kid. So I did the most opposite rock and roll thing I could. And he appreciated that. Until he was like, "Why don't you do one of my songs?" Okay, sure.
Well, speaking of his songs, I told you this is one of my favorites. And you said Chuck Mead is going to sing
Mead
about Margie at the Lincoln Park.
Requested doing this song. He's going to be doing it with the Cowpokes. The Cowpokes are going to do some songs at the beginning. They're going to be doing their Bobby Bear songs, and then Chuck Mead's going to come out with them and do his songs. And then we'll have a whole nother house band that comes on after that for everybody else.
So Margie, the character in this song, is the temptress, the man with the impure thoughts. Bobby Bear once said on this show, the question in this song is, did he go back for seconds?
I'd be disappointed if he didn't.
And I know why she's there.
Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn. It's all over the world.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
An Americana salute to Bobby Bear, 90th birthday celebration. We're celebrating it this morning and promoting it with Bear Jr., his son. How many kids, how many little bears are there running around?
I got 3.
Okay.
And Bella Bear, Beckham Bear, and Booker Bear.
Oh my gosh, that's a little.
Keep the BBs going.
And you are one of how many?
I'm one of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
Shannon is the oldest?
Shannon's the oldest, and Angela's my sister.
Okay.
And she's 10 years younger. And yeah, they're going to be there, but I think all the shows are sold out. Like, let's just tell you, I think, but I'm happy to promote. I'll talk about my dad as long as y'all want me to. I love him.
So do your kids recognize Grandpa's music?
Oh yeah, they listen to it. They are very aware. They really dig Papa. That's
he's Papa Bear.
Yeah, he's Papa Bear.
That's the cutest thing ever.
And
that
Jeannie
is so cute.
your mama is?
Yeah, she's Mama Bear.
Mama Bear.
Yeah, and my greatest contribution to them and their happiness is to keep bringing the kids out there and hanging out.
How old are your kids now?
They're 14, 18, and 20.
Oh.
So 2 boys and a girl's the oldest and the bossiest.
Perfect.
Well, Jeff Allen, our comedian friend, says grandchildren are your reward for not killing your kid when he's 13. So, it all comes around.
When you should have thrown
Yeah,
them
it all
in the
comes
river.
around. Yeah.
So your dad's birthday is actually April 7th?
April 7th, a week from today.
Yep. The night of the Basement East show. So could not have worked out better.
Yeah, just by coincidence, that date was available. It was meant to be. It's been the easiest thing to book and organize. Just everybody's agreeable and easy. Nobody's getting rich. It's just creating a big musical hug.
Emmylou Harris, Jamie Johnson, Steve Earle, Sean Camp, Elizabeth Cook for Sheriff. Thank you. Buddy Miller, Kendall Marvel, Chuck Mead, Lucinda Williams, Jim Lauderdale. Kelly Sutton may make I'm sorry.
Aaron Lee Tashjian.
Oh, nice.
And Jim Lauderdale.
Yeah. Were they fighting over which songs they wanted to do, or did you
Oh,
dole
good
them
question.
out?
No, it really. Actually, what would happen is they say, "I can do it." Dad would say, "Steve Earle should do." Steve Earle should do this song.
Was it Marie Laveau that he wanted Steve to do?
Yeah, Steve should do Marie Laveau, and sometimes, and sometimes people had songs they really wanted to do, and it's all fallen into place perfectly. I haven't had any fights or attitude,
Well, there are a couple of other events, too, in addition to this one, on his actual 90th birthday at the Basement East that we just talked about. For the Love of the Songwriter is Wednesday the 9th. That's at the Bluebird. Mm-hmm. And then the Songs of Bobby Bear with Buddy Cannon, Todd Snyder, Bear Jr. That's on Saturday the 12th.
Early, kind of like 11 a.m. or something, I think.
Those are so well attended at the Hall of Fame.
I don't know if it's sold out or not, but I hope not, because I got to get my brother and sister in with their family. They're going to be mad.
When you have something like this that comes together, does it get your wheels turning to do a tribute with all of these voices you're already going to have? I mean, are we going to get an album? Yeah, are we going to get an album later?
I don't know.
It kind of makes sense.
Some of those things just kind of pop up.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, yeah. But just like this, just kind of like naturally. But yeah, that Dad doesn't really want any celebrating. He's okay with what the things are, the way things are. Mm-hmm. But you never know. I'm not going to stop people from wanting to do something like that. That would be fun.
I don't think people realize that your father really was the predecessor of what gets credited as the outlaw movement, which was Waylon, Willie, Jesse, and Tom Paul.
Yeah.
And that RCA album. Jerry Bradley at RCA at the time. But he and Billy Joe Shaver, some of the stories, the two of them I've heard them share.
He signed Billy Joe to his first publishing deal.
Oh, did he? No kidding.
Yeah. And Waylon had said, I'll do Dad brought Waylon to Chet's attention. So Waylon wanted to do a favor back for Dad and said, I'm going to do a whole album of Billy Joe Shaver songs. So Dad eventually said, you need to do an album of all Billy, and that was the
Honky Tonk Heroes. Yeah.
And and then Dad loved all of those Billy Joe Shaver songs, and he cut some of them. And
I know he adored Shel Silverstein and Chris Christopherson and certainly Tom T. Hall.
Yeah, totally. And the Lullabies, Legends, and Lies double concept album that he did with Shel was Dad's most successful thing he'd ever done. I guess that's outlaw country. I don't know.
You were outlaw country before
Yeah,
there was Outlaw Country,
exactly.
because you were on there duetting with your father on Daddy What If.
Yeah, I got the #1 hit, man.
That's right.
right out of the gate.
How
I
old were
peaked
you?
early. I was 7.
Oh, man.
We got beat by the Pointer Sisters for the Grammy
What?
for Country Duet of the Year.
Oh.
They kept me from my glory. those women from Oakland.
Man, thanks for coming by and sharing these stories and
Absolutely.
promoting these great events that are
Yeah.
part of your dad's 90th birthday celebration. There's the Americana Salute. That's at the Basement East on the 7th, his actual birthday. That's a Monday. And Bear Jr. hosts with Emmy Lou, Jamie Johnson, Steve Earle, Sean Camp, Elizabeth Cook, Buddy Miller, Kendall Marvel, Chuck Mead, Lucinda Williams, Jim Lauderdale, and
The Cowpokes
Yep.
and Aaron Lee Tash.
And then the other 90th birthday events include Wednesday the 9th at the Bluebird for the love of the songwriter. And who's on that? Did you?
Mary Cachet and Max Morris.
Then Saturday, wrap it up. Buddy Cannon. Boy, he can tell some stories.
Yeah.
Todd Snyder.
He
and
can
you.
tell some stories.
Yeah, yeah.
The three of you will be there at the Country Music Hall of Fame on Saturday, April 12th. And if they're listening or watching at the Country Music Hall of Fame, save Bear Jr.'s family, his siblings, and their families a seat, please, if you would.
Exactly.
Take a look around. Take a walk around what
Yeah.
used to be your employer, Opryland USA, before you leave
Absolutely.
today. All right.
Show me the good spot for a nap. by the way,
Yes.
too.
It's under those stairs over there.
Very handy.
Did A-Cuff ever catch you?
Yeah, no. Nobody did.
All right. Thank you to Bobby Bear Jr. and to Bobby and Jeannie, who are listening this morning, celebrating Bobby's 90th birthday on Coffee, Country, and Cody.